if you start to see a girl and you see her 3 times and it's wonderful and you're excited, she's excited, it starts to fade. She becomes distant and busy all the time. It could be an ex-boyfriend that come into the picture, either mentally or physically, or returned, or showered her with affection and said, "I'm sorry, I want to come back." She's conflicted. It could be she's having an existential crisis, a moment of real, you know, um, neurosis or fear or something that didn't come into her life, or having problems with a job. It could be all kinds of things. Um, if the guy was 3 dates and she was excited and she was happy and she was completely vibing at the same vibration as him, then I can confidently say that it was nothing he did or said.
So something I've been pondering over the last couple of weeks, which I've seen around our membership discussions in my private coaching practice a little bit, is men reaching out, really, really intent to figure out what's going on in her mind.
Okay.
So that's a broad open frame so far, and I'll try and bring it into a question to explore. The habit and the tendency to really try and figure out what's going on with her, right? So I'm dating this one girl, and then she went away on this trip and she's kind of blowing hot or cold. She did this, she then did that. It seems her behavior is inconsistent. And what does it all mean? Blah, 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 blah. Another side of this is, hey, Jordan, do you mind if I share with you some text messages that I've been going through recently? She seems to be backing away. What might be going on in her mind? You know, it felt like it was on over here. A little while later. So I know a big part of your work is gunslinger coaching, which from the outside seems like you're trying to kind of incept yourself into her mind and get a sense of what's going on for her so he might be able to take some action. And then it keeps coming. And I remember this from my own past days wrapped up in what might be going on for her, such that my own loss to my own productivity is very impaired. And by that, I'm not trying to say our productivity is the be all and end all of my life, but it's like I can't properly focus on my friendships. I can't focus on my class or my work or what I'd rather be doing because I'm in my head all day long, you know, in these thought loops about what's going on in this woman's mind. So in a way, you might say it's fundamental to us to know, figure her out, get a sense of closure. But on the other side of things, it's like, how useful actually is it really to try and know what's going on with her? And at what point is it a question of, well, we've got to bring this back to us. What's actually going on for us? What do we want? And stepping out of that real thought loopy, because to bottom line it here, the angst and the suffering and the torture that men go through actually trying to figure something out can be very extreme.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of layers that come into my mind as you're saying this. The layer is you just met a girl and she's being distant or non-communicative or was happy and then not so excited, and you're trying to figure that out. What is she thinking in her mind on that level? Or you're dating her and something shifts in the spirit of her and you're trying to figure that out. Or you're married to her and all these layers are like, guys are trying to figure out the mind of women, you know, for centuries, and it's always complicated, and it could be a myriad of things. That's when I do my gunslinger coaching, I need all details. The guy says, "Listen, I went on 3 dates with her, and she was really excited, and I felt connected, and I felt that she was excited, and there was no question in my mind that she was completely engaged and alive and excited and ready to see me again. And now she's kind of flaked out and disappearing, and I can't get her attention, and she's busy all the time." Yes, I can help you with that, and yes, I can dig into the determinant factor that is making her feel distant. But I need details. I need the communication you had. Like I'll grill a guy. I'll interview him. I'll depose him. Like a lawyer would, to say, okay, so what? Tell me about this date and how did it end, and who invited who. And if I get those details, then I can get a very good approximation of what she's thinking. Um, and it could be many things. If you start to see a girl and you see her 3 times and it's wonderful and you're excited, she's excited, and it starts to fade. She becomes distant and busy all the time. It could be an ex-boyfriend that come into the picture, either mentally or physically, or returned, or showered her with affection and said, "I'm sorry, I want to come back." She's conflicted. It could be she's having an existential crisis, a moment of real, you know, um, neurosis or fear or something that didn't come into her life, or having problems with her job. It could be all kinds of things. Um, if the guy was 3 dates and she was excited and she was happy and she was completely vibing at the same vibration as him, then I can confidently say that it was nothing he did or said. Well, I shouldn't say that, because maybe he did say something at the end of the 3rd date that was really off-putting and he hasn't told me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I
Yeah.
know, right? But if I know all the details, I can get a pretty good sense of it. In fact, I get a very good sense of it, and I know why she backs off and why. If I get these details and I can ask enough questions and he's honest with me, if that guy's honest with me and shows me her text messages, for instance, right? Shows me a picture of her so I get a sense of how she shows up in the world. I can pretty much tell him what went wrong or what he needs to do to potentially, not 100%, but potentially resurrect us back to the way it was at the beginning, which is what everybody wants to do. We want to recover our relationship or whatever we had back to the way it was when she was excited at the beginning. We want to recover back to that.
So you gave a couple of examples there, but uh, your open and share had me want to hear more of a taxonomy of what might be your top three. And you mentioned 3 different kind of
Yeah,
stages or depths of relationship that that he might be in with her. So you have they just met and they haven't been together yet. It's just a couple of dates here and
yeah,
there, and he
yeah,
wants to get that next date or something like that. And she's starting to back
yes.
away, and he's uncertain. Then you've got dating, so they have been
Seeing each other, yeah,
for a bit of a time, and then you've got later on in the relationship. This is a topic I think we'll go to a bit later, but many years in, and now the sense of gridlock and the ice coldness of the relation between the couple is there. In those 3 different levels, could you give a quick taxonomy? First couple of things to mind. What are the most common things that she is thinking or reacting to or backing off because of
okay.
in those 3 distinct stages?
In the first stage, now I did indicate that she was engaged and he could feel really connected, and they talked for hours, or they really had a moment or an intimate time together, and she was completely engaged and he could feel it. So in other words, I would not say that she's not just into you. Like a lot of guys will go on a date with a woman and she just doesn't call back again or doesn't respond because she's just not into you. It's just right.
So that's a separate category before we start.
Yeah,
Category 0, he met her one
that's
night. It
zero.
looked good for 15 minutes, but there was never
Or
bite.
she, right?
But she might be a reason why he's in the group all day long. What happened?
That's right.
Overthinking, overinvesting.
She basically said, "Well, yeah, listen, yeah, I'd like to go on a date with you sometime, or like I'll go get coffee with you sometime. Just message me on Instagram, blah blah." And he messages her, and she says, "Oh, I'm really busy this week." Messages her again. Um, well, maybe we can do Thursday. Well, Thursday's busy, and it just keeps drifting and getting away. And she's just not into you. Because no matter how busy a woman is, if she's into you and she's attracted to you, she's canceling grandma, and she'll figure it out. So that's category 0. And you poke at her a few times, invite her a couple of times. If she doesn't, if she's always busy and stuff, cut your cut your line, let the bait go. Let the fish go. So that's category 0. Category 1 is she's liking you and she goes on a date with you and she's thrilled and she dresses up and you have a great time and you talk about your favorite movies and you talk about the future, etc. And she sees you 2 or 3 times, and then it gets there. She starts to get distant and backed off a little bit. If you were honest with me, you didn't say something vile or do something vile that made her go, you know what, I don't want any part of this, or I need to back away from this guy, then something's going on in her end. It's not you. And that something is going to be, let me figure this out. Number one, that's something, if she was really into you and after 2, 3 days, she's kind of flaked out a little bit. Number one, it's another guy, most likely an ex. That's the number one reason for sure.
Mhm.
Most likely an ex. It could be that while she was finding you on Tinder, she also found 2 or 3 other guys on Tinder and kind of keeping her options open. Really likes you a lot, but this other guy, maybe there's some prospects. So her mind's divided, distracted. That could be, but like most likely it's something to do with her ex, I think. And then so that's category 1 is or reason 1 was because some other guy. Otherwise, she wouldn't cool down like that. And then the other thing is that she's got something emotionally going on. Um, some kind of or some kind of illness she's battling, or some kind of thing she's depressed about, or something that's really bothering her. It's never because I'm so busy.
Mm.
Now, you date her 2, 3 times, and she says, "Listen, I'm going to be gone for the weekend, and I have a meeting on Monday, and my family's coming to town on Tuesday, so I can't see you till Wednesday, Thursday." That's legit. She is busy, but just being busy in general, and and a rolling busy. So I'm busy, busy, busy. Let's connect next week. Next week, connect with her again. Well, it's not a good time right now. I'm really busy. That rolling busy, something's gone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to your second point, the sense that she might be struggling with something emotionally, existentially, where's she going with her life, illness, family
Yeah,
relations. It's a lot more common than I ever thought.
very common.
And I think at the beginning, really starting out my own dating journey, I thought every woman is a totally fine, rational, unaffected island of a prospect, right? That doesn't come attached with all of the life issues. And the surprise that I've had about women who are, they would like to be open and meet somebody, but they're figuring out their trauma, or they're reading this
Yes.
book, or they've had years of suffering that is still
Yeah,
not resolved. Like, that's a massive life project, which for a lot of women doesn't leave that much space unless she's really, really
that's
wants to
right.
meet you.
Right.
It's so much more prevalent than I
Or
thought.
she's like you said, been traumatized, or had some. She's really afraid to go forward with somebody, so she kind of sabotages just like you would, realizing that man, I had 3 dates with this guy and it was wonderful, but I just can't emotionally be ready for a relationship. It's too strong. I'm overwhelmed. That
How
happens to you a lot.
how do you work with that? Well, how do you relate to that as a man? You've had an incredible connection after 3 dates. She backs off because she's sabotaging it, or because the possibility that you two
Yeah.
have is actually really real. What's your best?
Number one, no pressure of any kind ever. You can't give her any pressure or say, well, or try and convince her. Well, we could just, okay, busy Tuesday. Well, you've got to be gracious. You got to really be gracious and give her lots of space and say, I understand. I adored my time with you. The 3 dates we had to me were magnificent, and I'm thinking about you a lot. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to to have this experience again, but I want to give you the space and time that you, for whatever reason, you're asking the reason, why are you not calling me? The biggest thing is no pressure. And if you were fun and funny on the first date, that's why she went on the second date with you, because you were funny and you were fun and you made her laugh. And she's like, this guy's cool and she's happy to see you. You've got to, if you've been gone down in any kind of profound way or any kind of deep way or kind of um, change that energy of your fun spirit that you were on the first date, you got to return right back, turn to that guy. Just fun, joking, just kidding, funny, be that guy again, and give her grace. Because then what will happen is you're saying, listen, no pressure. In your mind, you're saying no pressure, but you say, you know what, and you just return back to that funny, fun guy that she fell for at the beginning when you first met her in the street or whatever, and you on the second date, you were that guy. Go back to that and just say, okay, I understand you're busy, and I have no problem with it, but I'm thinking about you, and I'll message you again in 3 days or something. You can say that, but the tone of it is no pressure, and you're still fun and funny, that guy, because she's going to remember that and think, what am I doing? This guy's great, and he's fun and funny. He's not giving me any pressure, and he's not being all profound and moody. Guys get moody.
Mm.
They get moody because, well, come on, like I thought we had something, and they try and have that conversation. I thought we had something. You know, you've been. I invited you out 3 times after 3 dates, and you're always busy. And what gives? That's not your call. You have no right to ask that. She's an autonomous human being. You're not in relationship with her. She doesn't owe you explanation of any kind. So you just go back to the fun, light, um, devil may care attitude that you had before, and say, I'm going to miss you. I know you're busy. I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to go do this fun thing without you. But go to the concert or go to the park and whatever. But I would love you to come, and I understand. Um, uh, Basically, like, you wrap it in grace, but you be that fun guy, and no moodiness, no heaviness, no pressure, no accusatory tone. Come on, you said I thought you said we had something real strong connection.
Mm.
Now, I don't feel like we have a strong connection now. Blah blah blah. Accuse, accuse, accuse. Accuser of the brethren. Right? You can't do that.
It's hard for a lot of men to get out of that. I've certainly been there where I feel like I've invested my time, my
Yes,
feeling. I've started to build in my mind a sense of future and decision.
and
I want to date this
and
girl.
you feedback that was working.
Yeah, right. So I
She was,
started to bank on it that she
yes,
she was going to, very man language, kind of stick to her word, actually, and
yeah,
she's accountable, because that's what
yeah.
I expect in the land of men. She's accountable to
Correct.
seeing me on this Thursday night, because we always see each other on Thursday night, and if she backs out, she is uh, turning around from a deal, and
That's
and
right.
and non-explicit deal that
Yeah,
I made in my own head, but for me it's a deal, and it's hard because the emotions start to sink when
yeah,
things are not moving forward according to
yeah.
the pace of our own desire.
And the only thing you can do is to back off back to the lighthearted, ease and delight, funny, fun guy that she fell for. That's all you can do. Anything else you try and do or try and steer the relationship or try and reason with her would just push her away. And she's like, I can't deal with this right now. I'm going through all this emotional stuff, and now you're giving me pressure because, and she'll dump you.
Let- Let's move forward into the longer dating category, because some of the questions that have been filled in lately are things like, we were dating for a few 2-3 weeks or a few weeks, and it was great, and then she went away on this trip, and that's when the uncertainty began. Or the sense of hot and cold, like she exploded and blew up at me and had this real go, and then
Yeah,
she comes to me 3 or 4 days later, I'm so sorry, and he's like, well, there's just inconsistency here, like I don't know if she's this or if she's that, what's going on in her mind. So
yeah, sure. Um, Guys haunt. They stalk her on her Instagram, and then they read all kinds of things into it. I was talking to a guy recently who he showed me a photo of her Instagram and said, "Did this mean she's in a relationship for sure?" And it was just something very innocuous, right? I said, maybe, but that's, and she hasn't told me. So they get all these signals, and then they invent whole stories in their mind because they follow her socials, which is a which is a thing today. And um, the classic one, she went away on a trip, and now she seems a little more distant. And I thought we were moving forward. She, like you, um, can meet other influences and other uh, things that opportunities come into her life. Okay, how many guys have you talked to, Jordan, that are dating a great girl, but secretly, and they want her to be devoted to him, but secretly underneath, they're thinking, no, she's not really the one, and
Mm.
so I'm keeping my options open. And he goes away on a trip and meets another girl. Now he's really conflicted, right? Same thing happens with women. He might be like, okay, this is the best guy I've met in 2 years. Jordan's the best guy I've met in 2 years, and he's everything I've wanted. She goes away on the trip and she meets another guy best guy she met in 2 years. Now she's like, well, what do I do? Because I really like Jordan, and this guy's an opportunity, and there's advantages with this guy over Jordan, and Jordan's got advantage over him. And just like anybody that can't make up their mind and has a glut of choice at that moment, they're conflicted, and so it's interpreted that kind of like second guessing, even if she's being kind of is interpreted as being distant and going away. And at that point, like this is a girl you were kind of dating and seeing and stuff, and she's kind of like, I need some space or that kind of thing, right? Any pressure you put on her, same thing, same thing, same thing. Any pressure you put on her is going to push her to the other guy or push her away. Any pressure, right? Ultimatum. Um, you need to. All of these things are just going to push her away. What you need to do is be yourself, stay devoted to your mission, which isn't her. Keep devoted to your artistic expression of yourself. Be excellent. Be excellent all the time. Be funny and fun whenever she sees you. So even if she has been kind of distant and she sees you out or at a party or something like that, and you're this funny, fun guy that's talking to all the people and being social, she's going to miss that. You've got to just revert or be back to that guy that she fell for, and no pressure.
Okay.
And if you feel like she had made you this kind of internal promise or unspoken promise, and and she was heading towards your girlfriend or whatever, and you feel like she's bailed on that or pulled away from it, you got to also think about yourself. Like, what do you want? And have some character and some dignity, and rather than chasing that down and trying to course correct it, has bail. And if she and that's the strongest thing you can do is like go and try and find some other experience.
Okay, so I've got a lot of things that I want to kind of bookmark or state that came up in your last bit of sharing. First of all, um, how many men are secretly in a love triangle that they do not know about?
A lot. A very great many deal. Yeah. When they first
Yeah.
started, for sure. For sure. You better.
I don't want to be laughing here, but like one needs a grand sense of humor to host that there might be a secret other suitor who's diametrically opposed to you
Yeah.
in terms of what he brings to the table. And her discussions with her WhatsApp group and with her wine girlfriends or whatever about you versus him and who brings what to the table.
Right.
Um,
Well, I mean, and then you say, well, how do I
brutal, brutal truth.
how can you outcompete all these other shadow third party elements she's dealing with? You can't, because you
Mm.
can't. You don't know who he could be an F1 racer and you're a plumber. And so how do you outcompete him? By being the best expression of yourself. Be the
Mm.
maximal of yourself. Be full of life, full of love for the experience of life. Be dedicated to the future is a glorious thing, and not a. Don't be mopey. Don't be moody. Don't be pouty. Don't be angry. Just be full of light, and that'll outcompete anybody else out there.
The other piece of this is in your tone. If we consider that you might be the reason she's backing off over text, even if you've been intimate a couple of times, is that you're secretly in a love triangle with a man that you don't know exists. And
Right.
clearly most women are not going to bring that to the table to you because of
Could
the
be an ex.
vulnerability in that. Yeah. Or an ex or something abroad that was quite vague, but it, felt powerful enough in the moment to figure in her mind. You say all of this, as if it's real, but you speak it all with kindness on her part. A lot of men at this point would turn in and say, well, actually, that's just what women's programming is, and they're hypergamous by nature and blah, blah, blah. So you've got to steel yourself for this kind of thing. But you speak from her perspective with a sense of kindness, like she's really thinking these things and weighing these things up and trying to understand how she feels and trying to
That's
understand
right.
how she makes decisions. Right. So there's no...
not evil.
Yeah.
She's not been doing something wrong. And we get accusing, and we say, like, we call them names, and because she can't make up her mind kind of thing. Or the worst thing you can do is this feeling of looking at her phone. Who's that guy? Or looking over her shoulder, or looking at her Gmail when she's got it open, or glancing into her purse and then accusing her. That's the worst thing you can do, man.
It's amazing. Even in the minds of some really reasonable men, reasonable, kind, nice men, right? There can be this veneer of she's mine, possessiveness, and underneath, and she's evil because she does these things when I thought I made a decision of possessiveness in my mind, and she's doing things that reflect that, she has her own will, and that breaks the contract.
Man, I remember in my younger years, I would try. I was sneaky, man. I would try and catch a glance at her email or her phone, that kind of feeling, And now the thought of that just makes me curdle in my chair. It just makes me, because I was so strongly that manipulative guy like that jealous, sneaky, kind of trying to find out her affairs. I've been with Deanna all these years now, and to this day, I've never once looked at her phone. If she has her Gmail open, I'm Deanna. I'm not looking at your emails. And she says, bring me something from my purse. I bring her whole purse. I'm not looking at your purse. I don't want to see your purse, because I had that in my whole upbringing, or my whole youthfulness was just sneaking, looking in her purse and going through her things to find out who's this other guy. And it's the worst thing you can do. Even if you suspect there's another guy, that you're in this triangle, all you can do is be the most excellent and fun and funny, full of life, full of brightness, adoration for yourself, adoration for the life itself, for the relationship, for her, so that she sees this is incredible over here. This other guy, my ex, is giving me pressure. you know what I mean? So, and then let her make her choice. Give her autonomy. If you're being the best expression of yourself, and she chooses another guy, and says, you know what, I can't see anymore because I've seen this other guy, and I really like him. Bless her heart. It's not your girl. It's somebody else's. It's his, and good for him, good for that guy, and good for her, because they found something, which is a strong thing to say, because guys cannot make that intellectual or emotional leap to that kind of perspective. They think, I lost. This guy was better than me. I lost out. It's not the case. It wasn't aligned. She's not aligned up to be the alignment for you. She's not aligned. It's not your girl.
I got a question here, and I think I know the answer, and what you're going to say, but it's worth sharing it on the podcast because it's a real feature of our current culture. And let's draw the picture that this is a man who has really dated a woman a few times. They've been intimate, physically intimate, emotionally intimate with each other. It's uncertain the commitment or the direction of things, but you know,
Yeah.
he's had a real sense of, they've had a shared vulnerability and they've had a shared sense of emotion together. She goes away on a trip, bit unknown. She's not texting back. Can't really get a feel for what's going on. And she comes back. And what he might do in their first encounters, given that they've had some history and he's really invested emotionally to a big degree, he might say something like, relational. So, you know, when you went away and I didn't see a message for you from 2 days, I started to feel XYZ.
Right.
And right, so he brings out the kind of non-violent communication, authentic relating toolkit. Um, he wants to say, you know, when you didn't text me back for those couple of days, I felt really
How I,
irritated, and then I felt worried, and then I was blaming you. Like, he will, whatever it is, he will start to share some of the
oh my goodness.
emotional and psychological process because he feels he needs to be seen and
Yeah.
understood by her and get his emotions out.
Sorry to
Because
laugh.
he needs to cleanse himself emotionally, but he also wants to. It's not like control her behavior and what she's doing, but he wants to know the truth from her because he wants to be able to base, where are we? Where is this connection, and what do I base this on? You know, so what was going on for you mentally, emotionally, etc., in regards to
Oh,
me when you were on this, you know, boat trip in the Mediterranean?
oh my goodness. Like something in me just can't. To me, that's the modern way. This is like sharing our feelings and being touchy feely and authentic relating, like you said, right? I think it's terrible. Man needs to keep his counsel, you know. I shouldn't say that because I'm mocking it, but it
Yeah.
just feels really rough to me. It feels really incongruent to the masculine spirit to 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 dump your problems and dump your soul and 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 to emotionally bleed all over the place, you know.
Well,
And
can you?
well, that and there's a lot of pushback against the strong, silent, you know, stiff upper lip of the Brits and that kind of stuff. Um, and you should be more emotionally expressive and stuff like that. But to the detriment of what? Of mystique, detriment of wonder. It's I just there's no purchase in it. You're not going to get a girl to be you never thought about that you were frustrated and you were mad. You got mad for 3 days. Now I see you, and now I'm opening up to you. Now I connect with you. Now I'm desiring you, and then let's go to bed. Not going to happen. She's not going to look at you with any kind of eyes except pity or scorn. Period. Now, if you're in, maybe I'm wrong, but it's not gonna light her fire. It's not gonna make her go dream about you. She's not gonna be
Mm,
laying in bed that night dreaming about this guy, Jordan, man, at all. She might comply and say, "Okay, yeah, I'll try and be more fair to you," and okay, but there's no mystique in it. There's no mystery in it. There's no seduction in it. There's no fun in it. It's not fun. It's like a burden. It's like you're
mm,
giving her a burden. You're a burden. She's now a burden to you in your emotional state. It's like nothing's happy. It's all heavy.
mm. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I'm smiling and trying to stop myself laughing because of the amount of men that we work with who have learned good from good intentions through their therapy, through the different kind of groups that they've been going to, through their spiritual quest, how to build a safe space in a relationship
Oh my
because we
god.
want a safe healing space in a relationship. I mean, my personal take is these are amazing and useful tools to try and make your conversation less dramatic and hostile. And I you know, I've been through this culture and got many things from it, but ultimately um I like the toolkit so that I can use it to dig me out of a problem spot. But in the end, it's not my primary function of relating.
Well, the toolkit should be something you know about, not something you use.
Something
Like I think,
you can use in a jiffy, but it's definitely not your go-to or your second go-to or your third. It's, I
oh my
might pop
goodness.
out one of these questions or one of these shares within a greater context of ease and delight and celebration and whatever both of us are going through.
Yeah, okay. I shouldn't be so dismissive because I don't understand it. But I think I really believe in her autonomy and her choice, and you just being excellent. So she just is drawn to you. You draw her into your gravitational force by being the best expression of you. That's all you
And
can do.
well, I want to say quite fairly to some of the men who are very relational in their
Yeah,
dating with their women. Share some of your experiences and questions here, and come towards the view that Zan's putting out, and actually what I'm agreeing with in a large way. See if we can draw out some helpful ground. And because I've seen it, and this is one of the things that really puts me off the kind of modern California polyamory, is that a date becomes an emotional process and being with a woman becomes emotional labor, actually,
yeah.
because, I've seen it in both directions, women complaining to me that they're dating this guy, but every time they date him, it's like a fucking emotional process. And he's just like blurting out all this, anger and frustration and angst in therapeutic language. And it's a drag. And then on the other way around, men also running into the same thing where it's like every conversation, I want to have a fun date with her, but everything I'm running into is, you got to be accountable for the trigger that you put me through. And this, I'm dysregulated and it's your fault because you are not doing this and this and this impeccably as, my ideal vision of you. So,
Wow,
I,
wow.
I mean, I want to put out a friendly statement and say just how pervasive this is in our culture, and for good reason, because people want to make their relationships more healthy. But,
Well, yeah,
the relating itself can end up being a tangle.
but you do it. You don't need to do a therapy speak, and I think it does a disservice, that kind of angle. I think you can be your cowboy archetype that you are, and love your wife and children, and be gentle and kind to them, be empathetic and care for their future, and desire your wife to thrive, and like her as a person, have a lot of affection for her. These are not therapeutic modalities at all, but it's a strong masculine, uh, lifting her up in her feminine, um, um, life-giving force, and it's go back to that, be that guy. You don't have to.
Now, does this change when we go into the kind of third bucket, which is the long-term relationship or marriage? You've been together
No,
8, 10, 14 years. There are
doesn't change.
children involved. What you've suffered with each other, like the hell that you've put
Yeah,
each other through, has really created a lot of emotions. And therefore,
yeah.
you might say, actually, it needs to be seen just how much I've been through.
Well, you can absolutely, I mean, you can say, I think that a lot of this is, I mean, you're going to go through your troubles and financial trouble together, and uh, troubles with relatives or whatever, decisions that she wants to make that you're completely opposed to, and you're going to have your arguments and your fights and the whole nine. That's natural. That's the way it goes. That's a relationship. Um, and it's the way you relate to each other in anger, and when you're having these conflicts, that spells out the tone of the relationship. So, and I'm not a sociologist or an expert in this, but my whole thing is a lot of that is assuaged and alleviated if you're paying attention. If you're paying attention to her and really trying to hear what she's really saying, you don't understand the word she's saying because she's a woman, and women's language to men is, I don't know, you want to solve her problems, for instance, right? And she doesn't want you to solve her problems. She wants you to be attentive to her. She wants you to listen to her problems. She wants you to sit with her and say, I don't have a solution for you, but I'm right here. even though you have a solution in the back of your mind. I'll go call this so and so tomorrow, and I'll $200, we can fix the problem, right? You have a solution, but she doesn't want to hear that. She wants to hear that you have that you're connecting with her, and you're sitting with her, and you're present. And not okay. What's going on with you? Okay, tell me the problem, and because I got to go back to my important career stuff that I'm doing that's more important than anything you're doing or anything the kids are doing. That feeling, you know. So it's a lot of this built up turmoil that you're talking about that needs to be dumped and emotionally expressed doesn't get built up in her or you because you are paying attention and you are attentive and you are trying to understand even though you never will understand what she's going through, but you ask to understand. I don't understand, but tell me anyway, and I'll sit here with you and I'll hold your hand and we'll look at the sunset and we'll have a glass of wine because I don't know anything, and you just be present, and that will erase or deflect all of this crusted buildup that we're worried about in our soul, that we have to finally dump it out. You know, I haven't said this for years, and I'm going to accuse you of this, and you always do such and such and such and such. It just kind of like softens all that and keeps the arteries clean, you know, so you don't get this heart attack later in the relationship because it's been building up in your arteries. So that, but also, and I know that there's psychological ways to properly express, you know, like say instead of saying you're doing this and I can't stand it when you do this, you put it on you. I don't know how to do that completely, but you kind of like say, okay, this is how I feel when you don't take the garbage out. It makes me feel like
you're very good.
you never take the garbage out. So I mean that's that's maintenance of a relationship, and that's wise advice and there's wise tools, and I think that's got a place for it there. What I'm trying to say is a lot of that is background, and it doesn't need to be foregrounded, even though you know about the toolbox, because you are being this attentive. Pay attention is the greatest thing you can do in a relationship. Pay attention to her.
Mm.
What is she struggling with? What is she excited about? What is she looking forward to? Because you're building up this multi-million-dollar company, and you come home and she's gardening and making tea doilies out of crochet. And to you, it's like my stuff is important and your stuff's not important. It is important. She's adding to the beauty of the world, and you have to recognize it as that. And her contribution, if she's sincere, if she's sitting around watching Netflix and eating Cheetos, and she's you know just spreading out on the couch, and she has no ambition, that then you're unequally yoked, as I've said before. You're just in the wrong relationship because you're aspiring and she's not. But if she's sincere and she's doing the best thing she can, and she's trying to make her business work, and she's trying to make her own money, and she's trying to learn something new and maybe take an evening class or something like that, you've got to honor that. That's as important as your multi-million-dollar company you think you're building. That's paying attention. You've got to honor that. That's your sweetheart, and you like her, and she's doing something that she's trying to maximize her experience in life. She's trying to be happy, and you have to honor that and say, you know what, tell me about it. Tell me what you're working on and what you're excited about and what setbacks you have been, and spend time with her, because that project. You know what, guys in this relationship. I said it before. I think in the podcast. I'm talking a lot of it. You're in a relationship, 10-year marriage or 3-year girlfriend or whatever, and it's over. She's leaving you. She's done. She's packed up her stuff. She's going out the door, and you're blindsided as a man. Well, come on. I tried to do all these things. I tried to show her, and you're blindsided. She's done, and she's moving out. She's done. She's moving on, and all her girlfriends say leave him and all this kind of stuff. And what does a man do? Because he's heartbroken, and he's building his multi-million-dollar company. But what does he do? He turns attention to her now, starts writing poetry, starts buying her flowers, offers her date night, maybe buys tickets to this, or buys a reservation, get a reservation to this fancy restaurant to take her on a nice date, and try to, all those things that you do, and every guy can that's listening to this can relate to this, that you do when you're in that moment of loss. All those things you want to shower on her is what you should be doing while it's good. Problem solved. Do the same attentive evening things. I'm going to write her poetry. I'm going to buy these flowers for her. I'm going to take her to this nice restaurant while it's good, while it's still good. That's
Yeah.
when you do it. Not after it's ended. Now you turn on those jets.
Yeah, because if you do it only after it's ended, it's not actually for her. It's about you and trying to
It'll push her away like you can't imagine. It
it will
is
try and
worth.
avoid your own sense of loss. Actually, it's a selfish act to do that at the end, and it was a selfish act not to see that it was needed in the middle.
That's right.
I got I mean, 2 or 3 points here. The first is we received a really juicy case study last night in the guild, which I believe you read. One of our members has a friend who's
Right.
in something like 15 years of
Yeah.
marriage has reached a gridlock. We'll come to that in a future episode and really give,
Okay.
what do you do as a man actually if you're 14 years in, a couple of kids, and it feels like she's on the way out. It hasn't been said, but it's starting to dawn on you that
Yeah.
it's getting to that line of
Yeah.
unrecoverability right now, where she just won't give anything that you want to you anymore.
I have a lot of experience with that. So
You
give good
personally.
advice. I give great
Okay.
advice on that.
Okay. It's going to be an important episode. And another light thing I wanted to say to all of the non-violent communicators out there and therapeutic communicators. One thing I learned actually in my journey with this is it's good to know non-violent communication. So I've got that toolkit, but it gives me the right to communicate violently again, which is I can say things that are a little bit hostile and a little bit teasing and like, well, fuck you. And yeah, I hate you too. Like these kind
That's
of
great.
emotive telenovela.
Which is really good for a
very strange with saying that. It looks on the surface that I'm relating in toxic ways, but on the one hand, what it does is it flushes all the raw emotion out of me. The next thing it does is it gives me a sense of humor, because mostly I'm saying this with a sense of lightness, that I allow myself to be kind of violent in my communication with her. Therefore, I allow her to be a bit violent with me. And therefore we flush it all through together and end up having a laugh. Strangely, my girlfriend loves it when I say, I just pull a face and show her my hatred and my anger, and she laughs like, "Oh, now I get to know the real you underneath the
yeah.
smooth coaching therapy solve the relationship problem. You now I feel the bitter animal underneath. Yeah, bring that guy." And
There
it's
you
like,
go.
oh God, I'm embarrassed, but then the relationship continues with actual energy. So I think there is post nonviolent violent communication. That's what
Well,
we've got
for
to see some
certain,
trainings for.
like, Deanna and I used to have these incredible, like, not violent, but violent is the wrong word, but really, really aggressive battles and fights. But we had, like you said, there's a sense of humor underneath it. You're being over the top.
Well, you've earned it actually, because if you try and have this violent communication kind of barnstorming row, but underneath what you actually feel is hostility because you feel like you possess
Yeah.
her and you're trying to control the thing. If you're like the men that the examples that we gave at the beginning of this, and then you start communicating with like that, it's going to be a real
Well,
shit
what's
show,
worse,
because underneath your emotions are very, very raw
the worst
and
undertones come through.
aggressive. Yeah.
Contempt. Like if she has contempt for you, and that if contempt is in the argument, you could be saying, like F you and all this kind of stuff and calling her all kinds of names and stuff like that, but you're never hurtful. You never actually say something that's really going to hurt her. And there's no contempt under it. Then the fights are fun. Then let's go. You be mad.
Yeah.
I'll give back. Then they're fun, and then you can bring it down when it needs to be brought down, and you can have a laugh and enjoy it. Like you said, it enhances the relationship.
It,
But a contemptful one, contemptuous one, or a hurtful in the heat of the battle, you say something hurtful to her, you cross the line.
I
Something
mean,
that really hurts her.
I've had some times in my relationship where, the neighbors would have heard us, and it's just like, well, calm down because the neighbor's going to hear us and stuff. But we knew, I think there was enough respect at the beginning, genuine
Yeah.
respect in both directions that we would never punch below the belt line.
Correct. Yeah, that's the important
As in
thing.
boxing, right? Yeah, punch,
Yeah.
punch each other wherever you want, but never below the belt line. There are just some sacred, and if you're intimate with somebody enough, you know that there are some places that all you need to do is throw one sentence to that place, and you can
Oh,
destroy another person. And you feel she knows those spots in me, I know those spots in her, and we won't actually exploit those
that's
in the
right.
argument. It's like we're wearing big comic gloves, actually, as we find it about. What I want to loop back to is like this whole discussion, which has been a bit of a masterclass actually on your part. I think one question for the viewer is, if you're really learning this stuff, like what did you get from Zan, as especially as you were running through the early stages of what's going on with her as she backs off, and I'm unsure about this dynamic. I want to come back to the beginning, because I asked the question: to what extent is it? To what extent do you want to actually be asking the question, what's going on with this woman, versus to what extent do you want to be asking the question, well, what's going on with me here? So
yeah. You
so
mean like
what?
a new girl, right? A new girl you're starting to see or something, right?
Well, bring it back to the example of messages that crop up on our kind of guild forum and general Amorata conversation. Guy comes in, there's this girl I'm seeing, what's going on with this girl, what's going on with this girl? And it's like, okay, I could enter into your question and ponder what's going on kind of gunslinger style and try and figure her out and all that kind of stuff. But to some degree, I'm jumping into your anxious thought loops. And it's incredible the number of times, I'm not doing this lately, but like many, many years ago, I'd sit with a guy, what's going on with this girl? And I would try and figure her out with him, and we'd spend 2 hours figuring it out. And it felt like we came to closure. This is what we think is going on with the girl. This would be a good kind of plan of action. And we've thought through every single angle. And just as I pay the coffee or whatever, and I get up to leave, he's like, yeah, but what about this? And it's like, at some point, the question never ends. What's going on in her mind?
Yeah.
So the first question I want to ask in these cases is, okay, this girl went on a boat trip in Croatia or whatever it was. And since she's been back, she's felt different and she's not responding to you in the same way. When that happens, you want to ask me what's going on in her mind, but I want to ask you what's going on in your own self, because it seems like the change in the air with her, which you don't know why it's
Yeah.
happening yet, even though it's probably because you're in a love triangle with a man you don't know about. Again, apologies for the laughter. But my question is, what's going on with you? Because the question itself typically comes from a place of distress or anxiety, which is,
Well, it comes from disappointment.
it's upsetting me. Yeah.
It's a disappointment because it's disheartening and it's sad because you had high hopes, and you're not wrong to be. It's flippant to say, well, just get over it. She's got another guy. Just dump her. It's a flippant thing to say. I mean, that's the aggressive um, way of advice that's out there. I think is just dump her and get over one woman by getting under 10 other women.
Oh, my
That's
word.
that old saying. But it doesn't work because you liked her and you had hopes, and you're missing her when she was gone on that boat trip. And so there's a real disappointment comes in your heart, and it's real, and it's legit, and you're not wrong. Just recognize that things are for a season, and some things are just not going to line up for you, and you've got to have grace to yourself, because you're going to kick yourself and say, "I could have done something better." And I would say that that's not true if you're sincere and you. Well, maybe you were moody and pouty and accusing her of things, and she went away on a boat trip just to get away, get away from this guy. So sure, there's lots that you did, but um, but the disappointment is real. But all you've got to do is the word I keep using is grace. Give her grace. Let her go gracefully. Let her. Don't accuse her. Don't stalk her. Don't try and find out all these details. Don't demand to know why. Just say, my dear, something's changed in the air between us. You went on this boat trip, and I don't feel that I'm connecting in the same way with you, and I'm curious about it. There's a lightness in what I'm saying and how I'm saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about it, and I miss our time together. I feel like I really miss you, actually, and I would like and because I like their times together. But I understand if something's changed in you, if something's changed for you, I will understand, and I'll give you grace, and I'll honor that. I promise you. But I want you to know that I miss you, and I would love to have you back in my life. That's a great thing to say. It's not needy, it's not wussy, and it's not accusing. You know, it's saying something strong, and it's saying something firm, and it's very masculine to say that. And you're saying, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to go in a different direction if that's, if you don't want the same thing, because I want somebody to be excited. I'm excited to be with you. I'm excited to what we had and the way we were going in this relationship or this connection together. I was excited for the path, but I was really excited to pursue things. I had plans with you. I wanted to take you to Sicily. However, if you want something different, I will honor that, and I'll be okay with that, and I will miss you, and I'll be sad, and that's okay. That's a good thing to say. Now there's no pressure on her. Now she's thinking, do I really want to lose this good guy? And anything else you do or say beyond that, you know, demanding a talk or heaviness or whatever is going to push her away.
I really love that you brought up the word disappointment, because for me, this conversation is a conversation about, for men, it's a conversation about agency and about power, which is, I can't figure out what's going on with her. I don't know how to turn things around on a text message or in a conversation. And therefore, I'm trying to think all day long about what's going on in her mind. Because if I can only resolve the enigma of her mind,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would then know exactly what to do. And then I would have a sense of power, which is not power over her, but just my own power, my own clarity and my own decisiveness. And my
Great.
own power is my ability to be this great, gracious, masculine,
Yeah.
on purpose, person that I know myself to be at times. So when a man is caught up in these thought loops about what's going on with her, it's a sense of his power is away, and he's anxious and he's distressed because he doesn't know what to do exactly. And what I love
That's
about your
fine.
word disappointment is because we can be so busy trying to figure out what's going on in her mind, and therefore anxious, and then disorganized and restless within our own skin. If I get to the point where I'm like, you know what's going on? If I take a few breaths, I slow down, I sit with my distress and my anxiety a little bit. What I feel
Yeah.
underneath is disappointment that this might not work out the way I hoped. And I
Right.
think a great message, and actually the route back to being feeling powerful in a situation where you feel that she's getting away from you, is to sit and take a few breaths and just ask, what if I'm feeling disappointment, or is there disappointment? And can I allow myself to feel disappointed? And it's strange when you're speaking right now, in the moments I've breathed in and been like, yeah, actually she's getting away from me and I don't know what to do. And all I feel is disappointment. And if I can accept my disappointment, feel the feeling in my own skin, I can accept that she might be getting away from my grip and give her the kind of release of, oh yeah, I don't own
Yeah.
you, and you're not entangled with me, and you're free to see this other guy that you met on a yacht or whatever it is. I feel disappointment, but I'm just going to be over here with my disappointment. Then I've let go of the whole thing. Then I come back to a sense of power. Strangely, owning your
Yeah.
disappointment is a way you can come back to, like, oh no, that really sucked. I was really invested, but I can let
That's
it
a massive
be.
trait, to have disappointment and imagine, the cinematic scene of the guy's got the flowers and he's going to the train to meet the girl. She's coming back. He's all excited, and his heart is good. He has high
Mm,
hopes. He really has plans, and he really enjoyed his time with her. And she gets off the train, and it's in or she doesn't get off the train, she didn't come back, and but that disappointment that hits your heart because you had high hopes, you were sincere, you're a good guy. It's a very honest thing, and it fell flat, and she's distant and not accepting your flowers, or just kind of accepting you and kind of like distant. It's a heartbreaking thing because disappointment is very real, and it's very masculine, and it's very real. That's why there's poets. That's
mm,
why that's why there's any kind of art at all, because we're trying to paint over our disappointments and trying to figure out something. So, um, it's a good thing. It's a masculine thing. It's the way we respond to it, though. The accusation, the anger, the blaming all women. This is a big thing, and advice would come to that guy. Well, she's just, she's forget her. She's a bitch, and she's just flaky, and she's just like all women, and just get over her. And which which is the advice that's the only advice that's given. But like you're right, it's like be disappointed, but create something out of that, and
Mhm.
don't be trying to chase it down, and don't be trying to you know um, demand answers from her. She owes you nothing.
I've got a symbolic kind of picture that just came to me of the sense of, a, let's say, I'm sure I've lived this out on dozens and dozens of occasions. Meet a girl on Monday or Tuesday, have a date on Wednesday or Thursday, have another date on Friday. Saturday night is a giant, for whatever reason, clusterfuck, and she just doesn't, she not only slips through my fingers, she doesn't want to text me back anymore. And Sunday, it's kind of like after a week of this boiling angst and chase and
Yeah,
wanting to possess and wanting to win, I kind of come back on Sunday evening to my group of buddies, and it's like, you know what? She got away, and it's disappointing. I feel disappointment in my heart, and I ache. And me accepting my disappointment um, gets a kind of empathy. Not that I'm trying to force empathy
yeah,
out of other people,
yeah,
but there's kind of an empathy that comes back to me. Like, we've all been there, buddy, and just that sense
yeah,
of allowing feelings, sharing the disappointment, getting the empathy and the camaraderie from others. And then literally 2 days later, allowing my heart to be in that tenderness rather than the control and the anxiety loops.
yeah.
It's the most beautiful place for another woman to come in and be like, wow, there's a man who can feel his disappointment, and he picks himself up and he's willing to, feel the burn and move forward again.
Yeah, he's disappointed, and he's sad, and he's chagrined, but he's not a suck.
Mm.
He doesn't emotionally dump it all over the place, and you know he puts in perspective, and that's a perspective of you're still God's child. You're still you're still you. You still have momentum. You still have forward. There's a whole bright horizon ahead of you. You know that's perspective.
Yeah.
It's not going to
Uh,
include this girl, but that's okay too.
the allowing the emotion of disappointment resets actually the nervous system and creates a relaxation from which you can tap back into these
Right.
resources of, I feel hope or energy again, or positivity to move forward.
Yeah. Interesting.
Boy, complete circle on this one. Um,
I'm
it-
sitting here at the seaside in the bungalow.
yeah, yeah. Where are you actually? People might be wondering what
I'm in
what the
Vama.
difference of background is all about.
I'm in Vama Veche, which is the Black Sea. It's a resort in Romania on the border of Bulgaria. In fact, Vama Veche means old border. It's like two
Mm.
miles border of Bulgaria. And I'm actually doing the Guild retreat here in August. So I came here to scout it out and find locations and for the guys.
That's why you're there.
That's why I'm here. Book my space that I'm going, and I got a beautiful place that reserving tables for us for the evening and for the afternoon discussions. We've got a nice quiet little alcove, so it's good. You should come.
What? Well, uh, could you share another insight into what you're thinking or planning for the guild members who join you out there?
No, it's going to be beachside. There's where we're going to have the thing is a restaurant club. I guess turns into a club at night. Instead, we'll have 1,200 people there on Saturday and Friday and Saturday. So it's just the beach, man. Like the the Romanian beaches, nobody knows about it. You hear about Ibiza and all these
Mm.
famous beaches. Romania is just got, and Bulgaria too, but the infrastructure is better in Romania. The beaches along the Black Sea are just incredible, and the resorts and the offerings and the restaurants and the beach bars and the clubs and it's full of girls and half of them are topless. That's kind of right up my alley. So I'm just going to bring the Guild guys here for a summer retreat on the beach. It's like Mexico, but better than Mexico. I've been in Mexico. The beaches are like Mexico, but it's better than Mexico because you don't have all the you don't have somebody bothering you every 10 minutes to sell you a necklace or some shells or something. And yeah, so it's not as commercialized as Mexico, but it's great. And nobody knows about these Romanian. It's like Romanian wine. Romanian wine is some of the best in the world, and nobody knows about it because they don't really export it. It's just consumed in Romania.
Mm.
Sloven wines and Romanian wines are some of the best.
You should, they should hire you to write the promotional billboard.
I know.
It's like Mexico, but better than Mexico.
Imagine the economy I brought into Romania from all the guys visiting. Some guys live here now.
You'll be given the keys to the city when you retire.
Give me the keys to the
Yeah.
city, man. I brought a
Yeah.
lot of economy.
Cool. Well, I'll give a quick mention. We'll put links to the guild below. I'll give a quick mention that I'm running a couple of live things over the next couple of months. I'm going to be traveling Oxford. I'll dip through Paris on the way back to Bali. I'll be in Bali probably the next time we speak. So, if you want to come in for the afternoon and speak through your most tricky, dastardly patterns with women and desire and how that gets stuck in you and you want some release, I'm running some salon consultations throughout the afternoon. Yeah. See below. All right. Thanks for the call. We'll catch you next time.